flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Town board received a notice from the Department of Public Service with regard to the Niagara Power Corporation as National Grid that the New York State Public Service Commission approved the proposed increase in its electric and gas delivery rates. There are some meetings, information on public hearings. The one closest here will be Tuesday, July 25th. At the Hilton Garden Inn in Troy. If anybody has any questions, see me.
I had a question on that actually, Mary. Does the town, do we want, as the town board members, want to send a letter in support of the residents not to support this raise?
It's already been approved by the Public Service Commission.
So that's a waste of time for everybody to do these meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a meeting, just don't do it. Okay.
Okay, public comment statement. The Chatham Town Board appreciates information received from the public during the public comment portion of each meeting, which often is very helpful in the governance of the town. It is, however, not intended to be a debate with the public or a question and answer period. Issues raised during the public comment may be addressed by the board during its regular meeting or by the supervisor between meetings as necessary. As a courtesy to the other members of the public, there's a 5-minute per person limitation on oral comments for each public comment period. The public is also encouraged to provide the board with written comments or materials when the subject matter cannot be presented in this time frame. Of course, while the board discourages any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing, it will not restrict the content of the public comment. So at this point, I'd like to open the public comment.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Okay, if you would please rise.
Yes, I will.
And state your name.
My name is Eleanor Fetloff, and I'm president of the Chatham Against Seniors. And we're trying to figure out why we have been singled out this year as not receiving money. What is the purpose of me signing a piece of paper? We've been made to get insurance. We all carry insurance, but we were made to get another policy. We were also made to have the bus write a letter saying that they were insured, which they are. And now they're holding it up because they said I won't sign. What's the purpose of me signing it?
Well,
Why am I putting a name on the document?
Well, give me a moment. We went back, if we go back to November of last year, I think our counsel, Sal Ferlazzo, spoke to you on the telephone and put together an agreement. So this is now from November to July, 7 or 8 months. So I'm very happy that you came, because I've been talking to Millie Hogenkamp and explaining everything to her numerous times. I've also written a letter to the Ghent Chatham seniors explaining the situation, which I requested be read at one of your meetings, and I was told that it was read. So with that, I'd like to turn your question over to our counsel.
Right, and what, as I said, and I forget if we spoke or when we spoke, but basically the town can't give away resources. It just can't give things away. It's unconstitutional to give town resources away. However, if there's an agreement with the proper company, like the research, to see if your organization would, under an agreement, qualify, and it does. So all we need is that agreement.
But why do I have to agree?
Who's the representative of the club? And we need a club representative to confirm that the agreement that I drafted.
Well, we've never
It doesn't have
done
to
it.
be you. It could be whoever the club
We've
determines.
never done it any other year.
Well.
And I've been saying all the other seniors that I have talked to in the clubs that I've gone to, nobody does this.
Well, then I may be more conservative than the other attorneys and the town attorneys that you're dealing with, but I'm explaining that I'm trying to make it where it will work, as opposed to, my general advice is not to give town money away, unless it's an absolute properly funded organization. And I try to create a document to make your organization fit within that category. And you seem uncomfortable signing the agreement, and if you don't want to sign it, you don't have to sign it.
No, because I can't see any reason why my signature has to be on there.
Well, your particular signature doesn't, but someone on behalf of the club does.
Nobody wants to sign it.
No, but how come one person sign it for everybody else?
I have to
Well,
sign, we have 132 people in our club.
Do you have an organization with a secretary or treasurer or
Yes.
any
Yes.
officer?
Yeah,
So then authorize somebody to sign it on behalf of the
they
board.
won't, do it. Nobody will sign that
Well,
statement.
then I'm going to recommend that the board not submit the money, because it's going to be an illegal gift. So someone else could come in, any of these other people here could say that without a proper authorization, the town is illegally giving money away. You just can't do it. So if nobody wants to sign it, there's no personal liability that you're going to have. You, as a group, are saying that the monies will be used for the purposes which you say, which are senior purposes. These guys didn't like my advice because they wanted it to go to the seniors, but I, as their lawyer, have to give them the legal option. There is no legitimate reason not to sign that document. It doesn't bind you or make you personally
Why
liable.
doesn't it?
Because it's
Because
for
I'm
the
signing.
organization.
I'm signing for 132 people.
Well, you're
I
signing.
can't do that.
Well, you have a group, you have representatives, they can authorize someone to sign it, and then it frees up the money, and then we have the documentation upon which to support the transfer. So it can't be a gift. It won't be a gift if we can get a legitimate agreement. But if you don't feel comfortable, then I can't force you to sign. I'm the one, not the board, that made this determination. So I based it on the law, and if you feel it's improper under the law, I'm sorry. I wish wish towns could give it away to anybody, like Santa Claus, but they can't. So they're not necessarily happy that I've come up with this analysis. Whether it occurred in the past or not is really beside the point. It's occurring now. So it seems offensive that to you to sign this contract. It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. It allows the town board to do what it wants to do, which is to make the gifts, make the payments, not gifts, payments that they've always made and want to continue to make. But, I mean, I don't know what language in there is so upsetting. I just need someone on behalf of
Because
the
I
entity.
feel I am signing for 132 seniors.
But as an elected official for that organization, as a president, like any organization, when you have a group of officers that are sworn in to represent that office, or in this case, the seniors, you represent, by taking that office as president, you take that office on, you're representing your membership. You're really the one that should be signing that document. I've looked into a lot as of late. I've contacted many of the senior towns around us. I've talked to New Lebanon, Canaan, Ghent. I've also spoke to Kinderhook, and I also found out to the controller's office that it's easy for us to make a line item in our budget for this money. The state controller's office has a specific code for this, so it's not like the town can't give you this money. But everyone I did check with said the exact same thing, is we need a responsible person just to say the organization is agreeing to accept this money. We just can't give you money because if you don't say you're the organization, then we're just giving the money away to somebody. We need you to say, I am the president of the seniors organization, and we are going to accept this money under those terms. You're just acknowledging that you're the president of the seniors and it's a responsible organization of the money that we're going to give to. That's the language I was pretty much, as I spoke to a lot of other organizations, is how they explained it to me. And I don't know if I just too basic or too...
No, that's not too basic. That's really the bottom line. No one's trying to make you responsible personally. You represent a group and just...
That's what that paper said. It makes her responsible, then nobody's going to sue if something happens. That's what that paper she got said, and that's the big problem right now.
That's right. And I
Well, I'll reread it. I don't
And I
recall.
can't-
Let me see if I have it. I don't know if I have it with me.
Because I also just checked with some of the other senior groups, and like the money that we're giving, the money's not the issue. The Village of Lacey gives their senior center over there $60-some thousand. New Lebanon is giving their seniors over 9,000.
Yeah.
Canaan is giving a little over 8,000. I mean,
They don't have to sign any papers.
because what they did is they had a line item in the budget, and it's because it goes to the Department of Aging, and their
Right.
money actually goes to them and then comes back to the organization through their Meals on Wheels programs and different programs that are done through the aging. That's where the money goes to. So in that case here, we're giving the money directly to you, where these other organizations, with the exception of Belation, are giving the money to the Department of Aging. And then they're dispersing the money back to the organizations. And that's how they got around it.
Okay, then let me ask you this. If I did sign that paper and somebody did happen to sue the town, what does that do to me?
If no,
My name would also be on the lawsuit because I signed for the club, right?
your name, if anybody, say you take the town out of this thing and you guys have a trip anywhere. So take the town right out of the scenario and you guys pay for a trip yourselves. As a president of that organization, you're going to be liable for that trip for your membership anyways.
So then why did you make us get insurance?
Because that's what we do to
We already have our own
organizations.
insurance.
That's because it's holding us less liable. We're trying to protect the town government from any potential lawsuits. We want to be at the bottom of the list. Ma'am, in this today's age, everybody sues everybody. We're just trying to protect the town.
Exactly, that's why I don't want my name on the paper. Because if something did happen, I would be sued.
You're going to be sued no matter what.
That's right. So I was going to say, no, my name does not want to go on that paper.
As president,
I mean,
you're
I've
always
worked
going to be
hard. I worked
sued.
hard all my life for what I have. And I am not going to take a chance on somebody suing me and taking it away from me.
Even if we don't give you this money and you have a trip that the town hasn't sponsored and somebody gets hurt and they decide they want to sue, believe me, ma'am, they're going to sue you also as the president of that organization.
So then why do I have to sign?
Because we're trying to protect us, the town.
And I'm trying to protect me.
But you're just not understanding. You're not, by not signing this, you're not protecting yourself. You're still open to the same liabilities without signing this agreement. Your liability doesn't change because you don't sign this agreement, we don't give you the money. You still have the same
So
liability.
then what you're saying, every time you volunteer for something, there's a possibility if you're an officer, you will be sued.
Very much so.
Yes.
So that means that all the officers in my club could be sued.
Yes, ma'am. That's why organizations have insurance for their membership a lot of times. They'll bond their officers, there's different things that they can do to protect their officers from lawsuits.
Okay, then if I do sign this paper, do you still have the money to give us?
Sure.
It's still budget.
I've been telling Billy that for a very long time.
We want to give you that money.
This is the first year that we've had to do this because the club has been in existence for some time. How long have you been the lawyer here?
Since June of last year. It's my first year, which is why.
Okay.
The problem is me. I mean, that's okay.
I see
Yeah,
that.
I'm the problem. Those guys are lawyers, so they're problems as well.
My name's Tom Mabel, I'm with the senior group.
Yes.
Do you represent another town board?
Yes.
And that town board, didn't they give them $4,000? Not only gave them $4,000, they turned around and paid for their insurance also.
What town board? I don't represent any other boards in Columbia County.
Now in Columbia County?
Yeah,
Oh, we got to pay for it, that turns it into millions.
I represent Tal Rappelier, so Tal and Sal. You may be able to see, that,
Right.
that may be the confusion.
But you also pay for their insurance.
I represent Grafton, Caroga, and no other Rensselaer County town. So, but it's town law is town law.
And we were supposed to get, last year we were supposed to get $5,000. And we only got two. It's on your paperwork where you break down this, who's getting raises, who's not getting raises, and all the money that's allocated.
I don't make any decisions on
Now, I'm
that.
just asking what happened to that $3,000 we were supposed to get last year, let alone the $2,000 we were supposed to get this year. That's $5,000 all total.
Correct.
So if you don't give us the 2,000 this year, give us the 3,000 we were allowed last year, never got.
That's right. What's wrong with the three? If you're spending, wait, I'm not finished yet. If you're spending $3,000 on a picnic, where'd you get the $3,000 for a picnic that has no bathrooms in that place you're gonna go? You have to get porta potties, which is more money because you have to rent porta potties now. Who authorized $3,000 to be spent for a picnic? And people gonna sign papers that they're not gonna sue if they trip in there with all the construction that's being done in there and stuff?
No, they aren't.
When you bring them in there, are they gonna sign this piece of paper and they're not gonna sue the town?
It's a town park,
It's a town park.
that's right.
But that's not my question. My
And
question is if
what
they
is
fall,
spent in the town park is for the residents of the whole town.
right, you allocated 3,000 for that.
We didn't allocate it, we got a loan.
You got a loan, it's even worse, now you gotta pay interest.
Advancement of money, which is being paid back through fundraising. That's what we did.
All right, we have a meeting to continue on, so is there any other discussion, any other comments? If there are no other comments, then I would like to introduce some folks that have been working on a project for culvert system, Greenbrook Stream Crossing Survey Evaluation and Prioritization Project. And so I'd like to bring up Tracy Brown from Travel Limited. And Vince, do you want to go up to the table? Okay, Vince Boyce and
Come on, Bob.
Megan Lund from the DEC.
It's on you, Tracy.
Oh, no,
I'm standing by
I'm
if you
waiting,
need me.
okay. Well, thank you so much for letting me join your meeting. Maria asked me to come to the meeting and give you a few updates. And one, if you recall, so the project I'm going to talk about now is a new project, one that you supported through a letter of support for a grant that we wrote several months ago, and we were awarded. So we're going to talk about that in detail in a second, but I did want to give you an update on the Greenbrook railroad bed culvert removal project that we're working on. If you recall, I think Andrew from the Hudson River Estuary Program and myself, we were here presenting to you probably over a year and a half ago. We did receive funding for that replacement project, or actually we're going to remove the culvert. We've completed the survey and we are kind of in the design phase, and we should have the designs in hand really soon. And then following, once I have the designs in hand, we'll go to permitting, we'll go to you, the town, to review the designs, make any modifications, and we're still optimistic that we will have that constructed this year. Time is ticking, as we know, but we're still plugging along. So that will be hopefully in your hands fairly soon. So the next project that was funded most recently is the Greenbrook Road Stream Crossing Survey Evaluation and Prioritization Project. And really this project kind of developed as a result of our last projects. We knew kind of right off the bat that this was a priority project in the watershed. It was a priority for the town, it was a priority for Chatham Limited, for the Hudson River Estuary Program, because it was a barrier for movement of organisms. It's causing a lot of flooding issues for town landowners. So it was kind of a win-win situation, a great way to start. During that process, the town agreed to move forward and requested DEC and Hudson River Estuary Program to complete a full road stream crossing survey in the Greenbrook watershed, which they did. They completed last year. And so really, the reason why we decided to move forward with this project was using that survey data, we can really provide...
Excuse me, Tracy. Excuse me. We're having a presentation. We want to discuss something. Why don't you go in the foyer?
So it's really the next step. So we have the data in hand. We know that Greenbrook is a priority.
Excuse me, you have not been kicked out. We just asked the noise to be kept down a little bit. It's not easy to get kicked out. I was talking about her. You be quiet. Continue.
Okay. So sorry. I really have no idea what I'm talking about at this point, but so this is our project. And So I guess going back a couple steps was the reason why we decided to move forward with getting grant funds to do the prioritization is really so we know where to work next, what's the next priority for the town, what's the next priority for Chatham Limited, the Hudson River Estuary Program. So as I mentioned, this project was funded, and it was funded by the New England Interstate Water Pollution Control Commission. And we have quite a number of partners working on the project. Obviously the town, Chatham Limited, I'm with Chatham Limited. The NUI PAC will be part of the process, as well as New York State DEC, Hudson River Estuary Program, and Cornell Cooperative Extension. And all of those folks have incredible experience doing the surveys on the ground, but also working closely with towns to help this process. So this process has been done in other towns. It will be designed specific to this town, and you have potentially different goals and those kinds of things. But really the goal, overarching goal of the project will be to develop a road stream crossing replacement plan that you can use moving into the future with the vision for improving community resiliency and infrastructure and also aquatic ecosystem health. So we're going to kind of work together to figure out how best to prioritize the road stream crossing issues in the town. The timeline, we just received funding, so things are just getting underway, and this is really the first part of it. It's kind of this kickoff meeting to get you up to speed on where we are. We'll kind of move into more of the data evaluation, and we'll start working with Joe and all the other partners on looking really specifically at the data and the road stream crossing information. Just to give you kind of a visual on the roadmap, again, we've got these goals of improving aquatic passage. We have a goal of improving flood resiliency and protecting infrastructure, providing the town with a long-term solution for culvert replacements, and ultimately the plan itself will have conceptual level designs and cost estimates for the highest priority projects. And we kind of built that into the proposal, and the benefit to that will be ready for the next funding cycle on whatever grant that's appropriate. So we'll have already vetted construction designs and costs at our fingertips. And really that's considered shovel ready, which puts us at the higher level of getting additional funding to continue doing this work in the watershed. And so kind of moving into that inner circle, really the steps are reviewing the survey data. The results of the survey data, we have several results that come out of that survey data. One is understanding each structure's aquatic passage capacity. We'll also look at hydraulic capacity, so what storms the crossings are able to pass, so we understand the flooding issues. We have what's called a critical linkage model, which really looks at ecosystem health on a broader scale. So each crossing is given a ranking to kind of to show how it contributes to the whole ecosystem if it's replaced. So that's a helpful piece of information. And then ultimately these will be formed into a priority list that we can create into a plan that can be used by the town into the future. I have spent some time with the initial aquatic passage data, not a ton of time, but I did want to share a little bit of the information with you, which I have found really interesting. So there were 276 road stream crossings in the watershed surveyed. I looked at the crossings that were considered no AOP, so no aquatic passage. There were 45 of those. And as I went through all of those 45, I prioritized 13 kind of are those severe passage. So I was looking at things like, is it on a perennial stream? Is it at the mouth of a river? Do I know that brook trout are present? So I have another data set that shows me what fish are present. So I was able to kind of combine all of this information and identify 13 severe prioritized structures, 6 moderately, and 1 minor. So that's kind of that gives me just an idea of a starting point. And from this information and from the survey data, we have photos and information on the structure that we can work together on and look at. We're waiting on the hydraulic modeling, which will really give us that flood capacity information. Critical linkage model is complete. What I found really interesting about with the DEC fish data is that you have a lot of trout in your watershed, which is super exciting, but a lot of your streams are not classified that way. And so I was referencing some of the streams that were only classified as a C versus a T or a TS, which is trout or trout spawning. And you have several streams in your watershed that are being requested for reclassification because of the high quality of the stream, which I thought was great. You also don't have a lot of streams that are named. I'm named number 2, I'm named number 3. When I was looking at those 276, even the 45 severe actually, many of the crossings are not located on mapped streams. So an ephemeral stream is still ecologically really important, and they wouldn't necessarily be mapped. But then there are also a lot of crossings that are potentially stormwater culverts and those kinds of things. So not necessarily going to be a benefit to aquatic passage. And those are the types of things that we'll start working out as we get deeper and deeper into the project. This is kind of how it looks when you do the initial review, and I generated this draft map so we can all write on it. And what it ends up looking at is just, you have the watershed, where you have the watershed outline. Each crossing ends up with a symbol, whether or not it's red for a severe barrier or green for full aquatic passage. And then once we get all the other pieces of data, we'll start to layer on the aquatic, hydraulic data. So we can look at each crossing, we can say, oh, that one is a barrier for aquatic passage, but yet it lets 100-year flow through, so it's not necessarily a town concern. So we can start piecing all that information out. And these maps are really helpful for crossing and writing. I really have a lot of information. So that's that. I think that's really it. So if you have any questions about either project,
Well, one of the questions that we're going down is whether we want to make a determination as to whether this study and the report which will be derived from it would become a part of our comprehensive plan.
What's going on?
We do that for now.
Identify some things that you have.
yeah.
So this, I think, would be an action for that.
I think that would be great as far as, it's like it would be a good sustainability. It would be a house somewhere that can be used into the future, and that would be, it's always nice to not get lost. Tracy.
So what's your timing on it?
Go for it. Okay. Do you want to explain a little bit about where we can view at least like the passability data that's up now from that protocol, both on the STREAM programs mapper and on the protocols like home database website? Should have made a presentation. Yeah, should have made a presentation. Sure. I'm loud enough where no one ever asked me to stand down. But so these crossings, not necessarily the fish data, but the physical location of the crossing, who collected the data, pictures, measurements, those are available on the STREAM program. We have a Google mapper that we use that has a lot of data. That's like all of our aquatic passage project all combined into one, which is really neat because you can look at it on your smartphone, because I'm sure that's the first thing you all want to do with your smartphones is look at a bunch of barriers. But also on the website, the website is called streamcontinuity.org, and that is the home base of the project that allowed us to collect this in a standardized way. So it's through this protocol called the North Atlantic Aquatic Connectivity Collaborative, and I make this joke every time, so now that I have said that, I will never ever say that again. I just call it NAC, because North Aquatic Collectivity, that's a mouthful. But you can search for, and you can put, you can search by town, you can search by the entire state, and you can view and zoom in on a Google map exactly of where predicted crossings are, and also what the scores are. And each time you click on those, similar to our Google map links to each database entry. But you can see those, you can just look at them on the map, you can download them as a Microsoft Excel book or as an ArcGIS geodated shapefile if the town has access to GIS. So there's a lot of ways to keep up real time, and sometimes sometimes if you're like me, you can just spend like just time like, I wonder what's around here, or if we've missed something important as well, which I think is a part of this project. Just making sure that we have everything that the town wants to consider.
Yeah, it's a, I can send you the link. It's definitely, we would want the link. But it's something that that's how we will be accessing the data, to be able to review photos and things like that, and we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty. It's super helpful to have that available online.
Is the process for reclassifying the grading of the streams lengthy, or do you
I
just
think
go out and
so.
say?
I really don't have anything to do with that reclassification. So what happens, from my understanding, is that the fisheries guys are out sampling regularly, and they have several sample locations in the Grove watershed. And then they have to, I'm not sure what their documentation looks like, but they make the request to Albany. And then there's a state process. There's a very individual process. 'Cause it's a
Nothing
water-
fast.
Yeah, it's not fast. It's a water quality.
You know, I mean, they're being quiet about where the fish are.
Yeah. But it's so fun to look at a stream that's classified as sea and see that there's brook trout, you know, so it's awesome.
Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you very much for coming. Very exciting.
So I think that we'll probably take off. But I know that this scroll for you, because I kind of made it for you, but just kind of get started looking at it.
Sure.
I
You know,
really appreciate
I
that.
gotta tell you, ever since I met you, I've been going around looking at all this.
I know. I said that.
I wish I had been 20 years ago.
But
We
I
wouldn't
could
have
have
half
given you
these problems if I knew
Yeah.
20 years ago.
And so, you know, when we meet on Monday, really, if you have time to know, then you might not. But the whole idea is to get your vision on
Go
that.
ahead, sorry.
So, we're okay with all the 3 meetings?
I think what, for sure, the Monday meeting, what the vision was for that, the 31st, whatever that next meeting was, is if we identified culverts as we were talking that were a concern, they weren't showing up, or somehow we whittled it down to some kind of site visit that was necessary. I'm a little bit worried that's a little bit premature. So if you keep it on your calendars, maybe that's good. And then if we decide that it's too early, we can change it.
Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to give those photos to Tracy? Or do you want to?
Yeah, that's fine.
The only thing that, I mean, I love the photos, except I have no idea where they are.
They're all, well, this is all on the old Rutland Railroad.
And the numbers relate to your.
If you pull out the actual photo, which is that.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Just stand back of it. on the back.
I'll bring them back on Monday then.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Joe, would you mind if we jumped over to accommodate the two attorneys here? Line here.
Go ahead.
If they're part of flying here too, so.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to their business.
Clay, yes, Clay, yes.
To move on. So, the planning board and the zoning board are moving along with their process, and they have sent to us to secret form. Maybe I'll pass this on to Sal.
I have the secret form, and what they want us to do is to go through part 2, the questions and responses that the board did, and provide any input. You don't have to provide additional input, but if you have any input, and we have the developers' attorneys here to applicants' attorneys to answer questions. So I thought maybe you just briefly say what the process here, you're at, and then we'll go through the secret, and then you can answer any questions that the board had with respect to the project. And then you can then report immediately to the planning board.
Yeah.
And John Lyons tells me that the project has been progressing promptly, and they want us as soon as possible to give our input, so it's great. Exciting to you guys.
Great.
So what is the project? Because we didn't do.
I brought the site plan too, so you can see if you haven't been able to attend the meetings. I know some folks have comment. So if you remember, we were here back in April related to the hardship variance, and just to briefly review, the project is for Flying Deer Nature Center, which is located in New River. They have been around for about 20 years, and they operate a wilderness education program. They call themselves a nature center, but it's really a wilderness education program. They run programs throughout the year with some concentration in the summer when they have day camps and summer camps. But they do a homeschool program throughout the year. They run adult programs. They have a teen program. It sort of vary at different times of the year. There's no program in January, but most other months there's a few days of programming, and then in the summer they have the summer camps. I think about 6 or 7 weeks of day camps and summer camps. Their idea is they have been offered this property at 122 Daly Road as a gift from the Alaskans, and Larry Matches here with me, represents the Alaskan family property owners. And the idea is the gift basically requires Flying Deer to be able to run their programs at this site. So they want this to be their home base. Flying Deer runs programs at some various locations, including some schools and other places, but this would be home for them and the place where they would operate, especially their camps. The reason we've been before the boards, as you may recall, is that this is located in the RL2 zoning district, which requires a special permit and site plan review for summer camps and recreational facilities, which are the uses that have been applied for. The idea of the Alaskans is to conserve the land, and so we move forward with the applications in the hopes of achieving that vision and enabling the gift. The gift is not open-ended. The Alaskans need to move on. They moved to California and want to complete the gift soon, and so we've forged ahead, trying to move through the process as deliberately as possible. As you can see from the site plans, and you may recall from before, the site, the changes on the site are extremely limited. The only construction would be a gravel parking lot in an existing disturbed area in a field, and some pit toilets that the program uses for sanitary facilities. There will be some driveway improvements to an existing driveway off of Daly Road onto this gravel parking lot, and a few signs put up. There'll be one main sign at the entrance, and then a few directional signs of really about 4 to 8 square feet. It's very limited, site changes or disturbance or construction on the site. Less than an acre by far on this approximately 160-acre property. The existing house and garage will remain as it is. It's going to be a residence. Right now, we actually anticipate that the directors who are married may live there, and we'll maybe have some incidental office space, but it will remain a residential structure, looking basically like it does now. There's some barns on the property, and they'll be used for programming and for some storage. But again, that's basically all the construction and the changes on the site. So we've been in the process with the ZBA and the planning board. I've had a lot of nice trips to Chatham over the past few months. I enjoy my drives here and enjoy coming here to meet with the boards. We've made a number of submissions, both our initial applications to both boards and then a number of updated submissions, responding to their comments and concerns. The basic project really hasn't changed. It's just, we've refined things, especially some of the traffic information that we've provided, the issues of how to manage traffic on the road and avoid any, negative impacts to the road. We've also met with or received feedback from the fire department, from the town road, Joe Rickert, the road department, and have gotten information from the Department of Health, which regulates summer camps very closely and has certified Flying Deer in the past. We have interacted with the New York Natural Heritage Program to make sure there are no endangered species issues on the site. And then the board members from both the ZBA and the planning board have made site visits, some of them several site visits actually. The issues reviewed have been comprehensive. I mean, there's a lot of, early on identified that this being a dirt road and that traffic and road impacts would be the main thing to focus on and make sure there wouldn't be any impacts. And so, there have been meetings to deal with that issue. There's been interaction with the county to ensure that they had no issues, since Daly Road, of course, connects to county roads. The plan at the moment, as we understand it, will be to direct most of the traffic to use County Route 9, which is the short end of the road closest to Daly Road, do some limited surface maintenance and improvements, with chip and seal to keep down the dust and ensure that there's no degradation of the road, and otherwise to have appropriate signage to direct people and that sort of thing. We provided a lot of traffic data to the ZBA and the planning board. It was talked about at a public hearing that was held on June 22nd. Flying Deer's also recently retained a traffic engineer to assess any impacts and also make mitigation recommendations. And the goal is to maintain this as a primarily a low volume, dirt country road that everyone loves. Flying Deer especially. One of the helpful things I think for the boards that we provided at the public hearing and discussed quite in detail was the way traffic works on the site, and just sort of getting a sense of how the road and the property would be used. And we did some, Flying Deer folks made a calendar of when their program days are and how many cars, that kind of thing. And it was interesting to see that program days, when they have anything going on at all at the site, are only 89 days out of the year. So the other 276 days, it's quiet. There's no programming in January, and then 3 days of programming in February. And then it's fairly limited, March through May and September through December in those spring and fall seasons, only 1 or 2 days a week of programming. And then, of course, the biggest potential for traffic and that sort of thing is in the summer camps. But there are no days where there are any peak hour trips, which is kind of the standard used, over 100. So it's really still fairly low volume. And the biggest single day is a community day called Flying Deer Day. They have 1 day a year. It's kind of open to everyone in the community. They expect about 75 cars on that day, spread over 6-7 hours. So it's really quite dispersed. So we really tried to quantify and address with the boards and address all the concerns related to traffic and the neighbors, because that was, early on, Flying Deer met with the neighbors and said, what are your concerns? And that's what came up immediately. And so we really tried to address it. And I think that we've done very well. Trying to think of the other issues. The boards have reviewed fire access with the fire chief, and they found no issues. The water and septic were evaluated and will be certified as necessary by the Department of Health. As I mentioned before, Ed Coons from the Department of Health that certifies summer camps came out and did an initial visit and said he thinks they can meet the requirements. Of course, they'll go through the full certification process if they're approved. We provided information. The boards have reviewed the signs, which again are very limited. There was also questions about future growth. You're going to get here, you're going to have this nice big piece of property. Are you going to build your summer camp or something like that? And Flying Deer said no. We're really planning to run the programs we run now at this property. So, the estimates, the traffic, all those kind of impacts we've presented are what we expect them to be. There may be some moderate increases, increase the summer camp by 5 to 10 campers. Maybe our homeschool programs might increase by 10 kids or something like that. Teen programs, 10. Adult programs, maybe 6 to a dozen, but nothing big. We're talking what Flying Deer has presented is what they intend to present for the future. And if that changed, there's some significant change that would come back to the town to get modification. So right now we have just completed a number of board meetings. The public hearing's done. The planning board, as SECRA lead agency, has reviewed the environmental assessment form part 1 and completed part 2. They have circulated it to this board as well as the ZBA, which meets next week. And we anticipate that at the next planning board meeting on August 8th, that the planning board may be able to take those comments, if any, and hopefully complete the secret process. We don't know if at that point they would then make a decision. We would certainly hope they could, and grant an approval. There's been some discussion about a joint meeting between the planning board and ZBA to sort of coordinate. I think this is our 7th or 8th meeting in Chatham, so we're trying to limit the number of meetings, although we've already had quite a few, and so the boards have been very helpful having a joint public hearing already, so they've talked about having a joint meeting. I don't know if that might happen, and so we're here. Back to you to update you, to see if you have questions, to help you with this reform. You know, back in April, you requested to, you allowed us to proceed. We've proceeded. The boards, the ZBA and planning board have been wonderful and comprehensive. And, we're back here to see what information you might need from us, because you asked for another look, basically, and we want to know if, there's information we can give in the process that can help you with that. If you feel you've had a look, I know some of you have been at the meetings already. I just want to see where you are, what we can give to you, and then hope that you would allow this project to proceed to the end. It's been a very good comprehensive process. The applicant has spent a lot of time and money on the process, so we have a lot invested, and we want to hopefully see that it comes to completion. And so we want to be here available to you and ask you what else you need from us.
So why don't we go through the questions? There's a lot of answers. And if we have a disagreement with the planning board, then we disagreement meaning we want to supplement it, or we have additional comments, we can ask questions, and then we can report to the planning board. So the first question is, will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulations, current regs? Planning board vote no, or small impact may occur. And they explained that outdoor recreation and appreciation of the environment is a stated goal of the comprehensive plan. This land use is an allowed use via special use permit. No zoning changes needed. Again, we're looking at current code. And so they wrote no. And if you, I guess, disagree with that, again, then we can let them know. Any comment? Anyone wants to add? What I thought is we just go through each one, and then I can write to the planning board and tell them what the comments were. So that's the first one. If you want to think about it, then at the end of the meeting, make decisions, but they said no. The next one was a moderate to large impact. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? And they